Okay, ano? So, magandang gabi at nandito na naman ako para basahin ko yung titles 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, and 16 ng Book 1 ng Civil Code, ano? Para, kasi medyo may ikli lang sila. So, naisip kong basahin na sila. Pero bago niyo ako samahan, magbibigay lamang ako sandali ng payo sa isang kaibigan na may problema sa pag-ibig. Wait lang, ha? Mamaya na pala. Wait lang. Reply lang tayo. Napakahusay naman. Sana kung nandyan ako na lang yung photographer. Magaling ako mag-picture. Thank you, Lola. I'm trying. Meron tayong naging pangpayong pag-ibig ito, pero wait lang, sabi niya, thank you, Lola. I'm trying my best to accept everything. Kala ko okay na ako, hindi pa. Yun lang ang lagi mong dapat natatandaan, kapatid, na um, para makamove on ka, you have to accept first na merong free will yung ating partners, and kailangan nating respetuhin yun. Yun lang ang magagawa natin. And kung siya, pinili niya yung iba o pinili niyang iwanan ka, tayo pilitin nating piliin ang ating sarili, na mahalin natin yung sarili natin. Ayos ba sa payo? Ayan. Hoy, mura-mura lang ang fee ko kung ako photographer nyo, ha. As in, merienda lang, okay na. Ayan, so meron lang po akong mga kliyente. Charot. Anyway, sige, magbasa na muna tayo. Nagre-reply lang tayo sa mga halaga natin ng mga friends na may nangihingi ng payo sa atin sa pag-ibig. At yung iba naman, nag-hi tayo. Anong pinagkakaabalahan nila? Photography. Uy, ba't hindi ako yung kunin mong taga-picture? Uh, anyway, magtungo tayo. Ano ba yung sinabi ko kanina? Wait lang, nalilito na ako. Title 9 muna tayo. 9, 10, 12. Hindi mo na ang una natin basahin, okay? Civil Code Title 9. Okay. Title 9. Okay. Ito kasi yung mga hindi naman nakalagay sa Family Code, hindi naman yata napalitan. So basahin natin. Title 9 support. Ang Title 9 ay nagsisimula sa Article 290. Support is everything that is indispensable for sustenance, dwelling, clothing, and medical attendance according to the social position of the family. Support also includes the education of the person entitled to be supported until he completes his education or training for some profession, trade, or vocation, even beyond the age of majority. So kahit na lumagpas na sa age of majority, ang inyong anak ay deserve pa rin niyang at kaya naman ng mga magulang na sustentuhan siya. Kunwari gusto niya magmasteral, or kunwari gusto niya mag-aral ng law, nire-require naman ng batas na suportahan pa rin. Diba? Depende po yan sa capability ng magulang. Okay? Okay. So mahalaga dito yung indispensable na mga bagay, yung sustenance, pagkain yan, usually dwelling, clothing, medical, yan. Pati pag-aaral po, ha, even postgraduate studies ay sinasabi na, o yung pagpapayaman niya sa kanyang sarili, trade, training, deserve, kasama daw yon sa support. Okay? Tungo tayo sa Article 219. Wala, magulo. Tungo tayo sa Article, 291, ito. 291 of Title 9 ng Civil Code. The following are obliged to support each other to the whole extent set forth in the preceding article. Okay, ito yung mga may obligasyon sa isa't isa na suportahan ang isa't isa. Number 1, the spouses. Number 2, legitimate ascendants and descendants. Number 3, parents and acknowledged natural children and the legitimate or illegitimate descendants of the latter. Number 4, parents and natural children by legal fiction and the legitimate and illegitimate descendants of the latter. Number 5, Parents and illegitimate children who are natural. So yung mag-asawa, legal na mag-asawa, may obligasyon kayo sa isa't isa, legal na mga anak, at yung iyong magulang at yung iyong anak, legitimate descendants, yung descendants, mga anak mo, and ascendants, pinanggalingan mo, yung parents, at saka yung kinikilala niyang mga anak, and the legitimate or illegitimate descendants of a latter, yung anak ng anak mo, whether legitimate or not, parents and natural children, sabi, by legal fiction, and the legitimate and illegitimate descendants of the latter, parents and illegitimate children who are not natural. Tapos sabi pa rito, brothers and sisters owe their legitimate and natural brothers and sisters, although they are only of half blood, the necessaries for life when by a physical or mental defect or any other cause not imputable to the recipients, the latter cannot secure their subsistence. So meron din obligasyon ang mga kapatid, whether legitimate man yan or hindi, or half blood, meron kang obligasyon sa iyong kapatid. This assistance includes, in a proper case, expenses necessary for elementary education and for professional or vocational training. Okay. So bago tayo magtungo sa susunod na article, re-replyan ko lang muna ang ating mga friends. Sandali lamang. Sabi niya rito, self-love daw talaga. Kahit sobra ko siya minahal, nakipaghiwalay ako kasi nalaman kong may iba pa. Yes, gano'n naman talaga. Naiintindihan kita, mahalaga ang self-love. Pero hindi naman siya binibigyan kita ng pag-asa, kailangan mo rin alamin. Baka naman ikaw ang mahal niya at nagkamali lang talaga siya. Diba sasabihin ng mga eksperto, bullshit yan. The fact na nagkaroon ng iba yan, hindi ka mahal niyan, but it is not entirely true. And yung tao lamang na yun na makakapagsabi kung sino talaga ang tinitibok ng puso niya. Pero the fact na hiwalay naman na kayo, sundin mo na lang yung payo kong nauna. Pwede na banana Q, tubig, o minute burger. Minute burger lang o Angel's burger lang. Pwede niya nang kunin ang aking services bilang isang professional photographer. Charot. Okay, so this time may halong mga payong pag-ibig. Charot. Okay. So, balik na tayo sa binabasa ko. Okay, Article 292 of Title 9 of the Civil Code. Sabi rito, during the proceedings for legal separation or for annulment of marriage, the spouses and children shall be supported from the conjugal partnership property. After the final judgment of legal separation or of annulment of marriage, the obligation of mutual support between the spouses ceases. However, in case of legal separation, the court may order that the guilty spouse shall give support to the innocent one, the judgment specifying the terms of such order. Tungo na tayo sa Article 293. In an action for legal separation or annulment of marriage, attorney's fees and expenses for litigation shall be charged to the conjugal partnership property unless the action fails. Okay? Unless the action fails. So, malinaw dun, sabi rito, pag proceedings ng legal separation or annulment, yung spouses and the children shall be supported from the conjugal partnership property, sabi. Yun yung Article 292. Tapos, kung naman, kung nagkaroon ng paghahatol na legally separated na kayo according sa batas, doon na matatapos yung support between spouses. Yun nga lamang, sa legal separation daw, the court may order that the guilty spouse shall give support to the innocent one. Depende sa sitwasyon. Sa Article 293 naman, in an action daw sa isang legal separation or annulment of marriage, yun daw attorney's fees and expenses for the litigation shall be charged to the conjugal partnership property unless nag-fail yung action na yun. Tungo naman tayo sa Article 294. The claim for support when proper and two or more persons are obliged to give it shall be made in the following order. Number 1, from the spouse. Number 2, from the descendants of the nearest degree. Number 3, from the ascendants also of the nearest degree. And number 4, from the brothers and sisters. Okay? Among descendants and ascendants, the order in which they are called to the intestate succession of the person who has a right to claim support shall be observed. Okay, tandaan natin ang descendants, yung ating mga anak, ascendants, yung ating mga magulang, yung mga pinanggalingan natin, yung lolo't lola natin, direct ascendants natin yan, yung mga magulang ng ating mga magulang. Article 295, when the obligation to give support falls upon two or more persons, the payment of the same shall be divided between them in proportion to the resources of each. However, in case of urgent need and by special circumstances, the judge may order only one of them to furnish the support provisionally without prejudice to his right to claim from the other obligors the share due from them. When two or more recipients at the same time claim support from one and the same person legally obliged to give it, and the latter should not have sufficient means to satisfy all, the order established in the preceding article shall be followed unless the concurrent obligees should be the spouse and a child subject to a parental authority, in which case the latter shall be preferred. Ayan, sa mga hindi ko na po may papaliwanag, pakinggan nyo na lang sana ulit para maunawaan natin. Ibig sabihin, baka hindi ko rin naintindihan agad. Article 296, the amount of support in the cases referred to in the 5 numbers of Article 291 shall be in proportion to the resources or means of the giver and to the necessities of the recipient. So, lagi naman in proportion yan sa kapasidad mong magbigay, sa mga resources mo, at sa mga pangangailangan ng tatanggap ng suporta mo. Article 297, support in the cases referred to in the preceding article shall be reduced or increased proportionately according to the reduction or increase of the needs of the recipient and the resources of the person obliged to furnish the same. Article 298, the obligation to give support shall be demandable from the time the person who has a right to receive the same needs it for maintenance, kinailangan niya na, but it shall not be paid except from the date it is extrajudicially demanded. Payment shall be made monthly in advance, and when the recipient dies, his heirs shall not be obliged to return what he has received in advance. Okay. So, yung obligation daw to give support shall be demandable dun sa oras na hiniling ng tao yung kanyang pangangailangan. Article 299, the person obliged to give support may, at his option, fulfill his obligation either by paying the allowance fixed, or by receiving and maintaining in his house the person who has a right to receive support. The latter alternative cannot be availed of in case there is a moral or legal obstacle thereto. Okay. Article 300, the obligation to furnish support ceases upon the death of the obligor, even if he may be bound to give it in compliance with the final judgment. Article 301, the right to receive support cannot be renounced, nor can it be transmitted to a third person. Neither can it be compensated with what the recipient owes the obligor. However, support in arrears may be compensated and renounced, and the right to demand the same may be transmitted by onerous or gratuitous title. Kaya yung mga provisions sa support. Article 302, neither the right to receive legal support nor any money or property obtained as such support or any pension or gratuity from the government is subject to attachment or execution. Article 303, the obligation to give support shall also cease o mawawala lamang, number 1, upon the death of the recipient. Number 2, when the resources of the obligor have been reduced to the point where he cannot give support without neglecting his own needs and those of his family. Number 3, when the recipient may engage in a trade, profession, or industry, or has obtained work, or has improved his fortune in such a way that he no longer needs the allowance for his subsistence. Ibig sabihin, yung sinusuportahan mong bata, naging mayaman na, hindi niya naman na kailangan ng support mo. Number 4, when the recipient, be he a forced heir or not, tagapagmana man siya o hindi, has committed some act which gives rise to this inheritance. Ang example niyan, yung pinagtangkaan mo yung buhay ng magulang mo o yung kung sino mo nagsusuporta sa'yo. Number 5, when the recipient is a descendant, brother, or sister of the obligor, and the need for support is caused by his or her bad conduct or by the lack of application to work, so long as this cause subsists. Okay? Article 304, the foregoing provisions shall be applicable to other cases where, in virtue of this code or of any other law, by will or by stipulation, there is a right to receive support, save what is stipulated, ordered by the testator, or provided by law for the special case. So, isang moral lesson lamang ng mga batas na ito, kung ikaw binibigyan ka na ng support ng kunwari magulang mo, huwag na tayo mag-inarte na kung ano man kasalanan ng mga magulang natin sa atin. The fact na pinapaaral ka, binibigyan ka ng support, ikaw nasa sayo na yon kung gagamitin mo ba sa tama ito o magloloko ka lang sa buhay mo. So yung mga batas na ito ay ginawa para tulungan tayo, dapat tulungan din natin yung mga sarili natin. May moral lesson po ang batas. Okay? Wait lang, commercial lamang at ako'y magre-reply lamang sa isa nating kaibigan. Okay? Oo nga napakalayo ko eh. Hayaan mo ate, kapag nagkaroon ako ng photography, studio, libre kayo. Charot. Okay, acceptance na lang. Ayaw ko na din umasa. Ang dami ko na pinagdadaanan. Alam mo, wag mong gawing cause yung ibang tao na magkaroon ka ng anxiety or depression. Lagi mong piliin yung sarili mo, gumaling ka. Gamitin mo yung mga taong pinadadala sa ni Lord as inspiration, at sa kanilang pagkawala na hindi mo naman kasalanan, huwag mo nang dalhin sa buhay mo. Okay? Yun ang lagi mong tandaan. Okay? Di ba? Sensya na at kailangan ko pa rin unahin ang aking pagiging Lolo Ray na nagbibigay ng payo sa buhay. Okay? Dahil di naman ako ganun kagaling sa sarili ko, pero magaling naman akong magbigay ng payo. Mga palpak sa sarili, magagaling sa payo, no? Okay, magtungo tayo sa Title 10 of the Civil Code, Funerals. Article 305, the duty and the right to make arrangements for the funeral of a relative shall be in accordance with the order established for support under Article 294. In case of descendants of the same degree or of brothers and sisters, the oldest shall be preferred. In case of ascendants, the paternal shall have a better right. Okay, so maliwanag yun ha. Sinabi rito, yung order na nabasa natin sa 294, mauuna muna yung mga descendants, yung mga anak mo, ascendants, mga magulang mo, kung naiwan mo sila. Tapos yung mga kapatid. O kung meron kang spouse, legal na asawa, nauna yung spouse. Okay? Tapos sabi pa rin dito, in case of descendants of the same degree, or of brothers and sisters, the oldest shall be preferred. So yung sasabihin ng panganay ay makapangyayari. In case of ascendants naman, the paternal shall have a better right. Okay? So para lang mas maunawaan natin ang ibig sabihin ng paternal, para lang klaro sa mga kababayan natin. Anong ibig sabihin ng paternal? Wait lang, hanapin natin. Paternal. Paternal. Kasi alam ko maraming hindi nakakaalam ng ibig sabihin nito na katulad ko. Ay ibig sabihin ay of or appropriate to a father. So nililinaw ko lang ha. Sa panig ng ama. Yun ang sabi sa Tagalog. So yung sa father's side, yun ang sinasabi. Okay? Malinaw yun. The father's side shall have a better right. Okay. Yun sa funerals. Article, may singit ko lang sa mga funerals. Nakakabwisit yung mga hindi naman nila ilalagaan yung tao. Tapos kukunin nyo yung kamag-anak nyo para pagkapirahan nyo. Para yung mga donasyon, makuha ninyo. Yung mga sugal, magpapasugal kayo. Huwag tayong maging masamang tao, okay? Article 306. Every funeral shall be in keeping with the social position of the deceased. Okay, huwag ka naman magpa-funeral ng bongga kung ikaw naman ay indigent. Article 307, the funeral shall be in accordance with the expressed wishes of the deceased. In absence of such expression, his religious beliefs or affiliation shall determine the funeral rites. In case of doubt, the form of the funeral shall be decided upon by the person obliged to make arrangements for the same after consulting the other members of the family. So isa-isang funeral, hindi na dapat nagtatalo-talo. Respect the wishes nung namayapa. Kung wala man, consult with the other family members. Article 308, no human remains shall be retained, interred, disposed of, or exhumed without the consent of the persons mentioned in Articles 294 and 305. Yan yung mga spouses, descendants, ascendant, anak, o yung mga magulang, at yung legal na asawa, mga kapatid, yan. Article 309, any person who shows disrespect to the dead or wrongfully interferes with the funeral shall be liable to the family of the deceased for damages material and moral. So, ang isang namayapa ay binibigyan na natin ng kapayapaan. Huwag ka namang gulo doon sa kanyang kamatayan. Article 310, the construction of a tombstone or mausoleum shall be deemed a part of the funeral expenses and shall be chargeable to the conjugal partnership property if the deceased is one of the spouses. So kung kunwari kayo ay magkapatid, dadalawa na lang kayo magkapatid o kahit 200,000 magkakapatid ba kayo, nagpagawa ng mausoleo ngayon, bibigyan mo ng susi yung 200,000 mong kapatid para mapuntahan nila yung mga labi ng mga magulang ninyo. Huwag kang nagmamayaman at kunwari ikaw ang nag-develop, hindi mo bibigyan ng susi, kailangan pang lalapit sa iyo at manghihingi ng susi. No, it's your obligation to give. Matuto kang rumispeto. Okay. Magputungo naman tayo sa Title 12, Care and Education of Children. Nagsisimula ang Title 12 ng Civil Code, Book 1 sa Article 356. Sabi rito, every child, number 1, is entitled to parental care. Number 2, shall receive at least elementary education. Number 3, shall be given moral and civic training by the parents or guardian. Number 4, has a right to live in an atmosphere conducive to his physical, moral, and intellectual development. So kung magkakaroon kayo ng anak, obligasyon ninyo kung tutuusin na ilagay siya sa magandang kalagayan. Huwag mo siyang ilagay na lalaki siya na ang paligid ay club o may mga gang sa paligid. Obligasyon siyang ilagay sa isang safe na environment. Article 357, every child shall obey, number 1, obey and honor his parents or guardian. Ito yung obligasyon nating mga bata. Number 2, respect his grandparents, old relatives, and persons holding substitute parental authority. Number 3, exert his utmost for his education and training. Number 4, cooperate with the family in all matters that make for the good of the same. So, ang bawat bata ay may obligasyon na. At yun ay ang respetuhin mo, ang iyong nakatatanda. Marami rin akong pagkakasala dito nung ako'y lumalaki. Dahil naiirita ka sa mga tita mo, nagagalit ka kunwari sa lola mo minsan. Pero, it is the duty. Dapat matanim sa utak ng mga bata na obligasyon mong respetuhin ang iyong mga magulang, guardian, grandparents, at mag-aral ng mabuti. Okay? And cooperate with the family. Nakalagay yan sa batas. Article 358, every parent and every person holding substitute parental authority shall see to it that the rights of the child are respected and his duties complied with, and shall particularly, by precept and example, imbue the child with high-mindedness, love of country, veneration for the national heroes, fidelity to democracy as a way of life, and attachment to the ideal of permanent world peace. Okay. Madaling salita, magagandang asal at patriotism ang itanim mo sa utak ng isang bata. Article 359, the government promotes the full growth of the faculties of every child. For this purpose, the government will establish, whenever possible, number 1, schools in every barrio, municipality, and city where optional religious instruction shall be taught as part of the curriculum at the option of the parent or guardian. Number 2, puericulture and similar centers. Number 3, councils for the protection of the children. And number 4, juvenile courts. Pero superseded na ito. Dahil yung juvenile courts yata ngayon ay family courts na. Article 360, the Council for the Protection of Children shall look after the welfare of children in the municipality. It shall, among other functions, number 1, foster the education of every child in the municipality. Number 2, encourage the cultivation of the duties of parents. Number 3, protect and assist abandoned or mistreated children and orphans. Number 4, take steps to prevent juvenile delinquency. Number 5, adopt measures for the health of children. Number 6, promote the opening and maintenance of playgrounds. Number 7, coordinate the activities of organizations devoted to the welfare of children and secure their cooperation. Problema nga lamang, promote the opening of playgrounds lang yata ang ginagawa ng kadalasang mga LGU o yung Council for the Protection of Children. Parang wala namang ganito. Article 361, juvenile courts will be established as far as practicable. Ano na ito? Superseded na to. Family courts na yata to. Article 363, wala na rin to. Baka na supersede na itong mga nandito sa Title 12 ng Juvenile Justice Act ni Kiko Pangilinan na nakalala pa sa... Ganda naman ang espiritu noon pero kulang. Iruin mong ginamit. Dadala lang birth certificate yung mga bata tapos gagawa ng krimen. 17 years old, 12 years old, saksakin ka kaya Kiko. Ano kaya yung... Ewan ko sa'yo. Title 13, use of surnames. Sabi dito, Article 364, legitimate and legitimated children shall principally use the surname of the father. Article 365, an adopted child shall bear the surname of the adopter. Yun nagampon sa kanya. Article 366, a natural child acknowledged by both parents shall principally use the surname of the father. If recognized by only one of the parents, a natural child shall employ the surname of the recognizing parent. Article 367, natural children by legal fiction shall principally employ the surname of the father. Article 368, illegitimate children referred to in Article 287 shall bear the surname of the mother. Article 369, children conceived before the decree annulling avoidable marriage shall principally use the surname of the father. Article 370, a married woman may use her maiden first name and surname and add her husband's surname. Kunwari, Regine Velasquez Alcacid. Number 2, her maiden first name and her husband's surname, Regine Alcacid. Number 3, her husband's full name but prefixing a word indicating that she is his wife, such as Mrs. Ogie Alcacid. Okay, yan yung tatlong pamamaraan na pwedeng gamitin ng isang married woman ang pangalan ng ang apelyido ng kanyang asawa. Article 371, in case of annulment of marriage and the wife is the guilty party, she shall resume her maiden name and surname. If she is innocent spouse, she may resume her maiden name and surname. However, she may choose to continue employing her former husband's surname unless, number 1, the court decrees otherwise, or number 2, she or the former husband is married again to another person. Article 372, when legal separation has been granted, the wife shall continue using her name and surname employed before the legal separation. Article 373, a widow may use the deceased husband's surname as though he were still living in accordance with Article 370. Article 374, in case of identity of names and surnames, the younger person shall be obliged to use such additional name or surname as will avoid confusion. Article 375, in case of identity of names and surnames between ascendants and descendants, the word junior can be used only by a son. Grandsons and other direct male descendants shall either, number 1, add a middle name or the mother's surname, or add the Roman numerals to the second, the third, and so on. Parang si Tirso Cruz the third, pangatlong henerasyon na siya, may Tirso Cruz yung lolo niya, yung lolo niya sa tuhod, Tirso Cruz. Yung kanyang yung anak ng lolo niya sa tuhod, yung lolo niya, Tirso Cruz Jr. Yung anak ni Tirso Cruz Jr., yung tatay ni Tirso Cruz III, Tirso Cruz II. At si Tirso Cruz naman ay Tirso Cruz III. Di ba? Article 376, no person can change his name or surname without judicial authority. Superseded na raw to. Ano kayong bagong batas dito? Oo nga. Meron na kasing batas na nabasa tayo. Saan ba yan? Yung pag-change ng name. Article 377, usurpation of a name and surname may be the subject of an action for damages and other relief. O kaya hindi maganda yung gumagamit ka ng ibang pangalan. Maliban na lang kung alias mo na lang. Kagaya ako, I'm Lolo Ray. Yan. Article 378, the unauthorized or unlawful use of another person's surname gives a right of action to the latter. Article 379, the employment of pen names or stage names is permitted provided it is done in good faith and there is no injury to third persons. Pen names and stage names cannot be usurped. Okay, so kung gagamitin ko yung pangalan ng mga artist, ng mga pen name, kunwari lamang Keanu Reeves ay pen name, it cannot be usurped. Sabi. Article 380, except as provided in the preceding article, no person shall use different names and surnames. Okay. Okay, basahin natin yung absence. Ano ba yung mga binabasa? Article, ano ba to? 14, ano pa ba yung mga nakalista sa akin? 14 and 16. O, sige. Pero bago yan, magbe-break muna tayo. Magre-reply muna ako, ha? Wait lang. You're welcome. You're always welcome. Basta may problema ka, tanongin mo lang sa akin. And sana, sundin mo yung advice ko. O, diba? Malay mo, pag-pray mo lang. Okay. Okay, so ituloy na natin. Okay. Title 14, Absence. Chapter 1, Provisional Measures in Case of Absence. Nagsisimula ang Title 14 of Book 1 ng Civil Code sa Article 381. When a person disappears from his domicile, his whereabouts being unknown and without leaving an agent to administer his property, the judge at the instance of an interested party, a relative, or a friend may appoint a person to represent him in all that may be necessary. This same rule shall be observed when under similar circumstances the power conferred by the absentee has expired. Article 382, the appointment referred to in the preceding article having been made, the judge shall take the necessary measures to safeguard the rights and interests of the absentee and shall specify the powers, obligations, and remuneration of his representative, regulating them according to the circumstances by the rules concerning guardians. Article, parang may gumugulong buhok sa ano ka. Article 383, in the appointment of a representative, the spouse present shall be preferred when there is no legal separation. If the absentee left no spouse or if the spouse present is a minor, any competent person may be appointed by the court. Chapter 2, Declaration of Absence. Article 384, 2 years having elapsed without any news about the absentee or since the receipt of the last news, and 5 years in case the absentee has left a person in charge of the administration of his property, his absence may be declared. Okay, malinaw yun, 2 years ang lilipas having elapsed without any news. Yun ang sinabi. Tapos, and 5 years in case the absentee has left a person in charge of the administration of his property. 2 and 5. Article 385. The following may ask for the declaration of absence. Number 1, the spouse present. Number 2, the heirs instituted in a will who may present an authentic copy of the same. Number 3, the relatives who may succeed by the law of intestacy. Number 4, those who may have over the property of the absentee some rights subordinated to the condition of his death. Article 386, The judicial declaration of absence shall not take effect until 6 months after its publication in a newspaper of general circulation. Chapter 3, Administration of the Property of the Absentee. Article 387, nagsisimula ang Chapter 3. An administrator of the absentee's property shall be appointed in accordance with Article 383. Okay? Article 388. The wife who is appointed as an administratrix of the husband's property cannot alienate or encumber the husband's property or that of the conjugal partnership without judicial authority. Article 389. The administration shall cease in any of the following cases. Number 1. When the absentee appears personally or by means of an agent. Number 2, when the death of the absentee is proved and his testate or intestate heirs appear. And number 3, when a third person appears, showing by a proper document that he has acquired the absentee's property by purchase or other title. In these cases, the administrator shall cease in the performance of his office, and the property shall be at the disposal of those who may have a right thereto. Chapter 4, Presumption of Death. Article 390. After an absence of 7 years. Medyo magulo to kasi dito 7 years. Doon sa disappearance kanina, 2 years and 5 years. Okay? Ito naman, presumption of death. Article 390. After an absence of 7 years, it being unknown whether or not the absentee still lives, he shall be presumed dead for all purposes except for those of succession. The absentee shall not be presumed dead for the purpose of opening his succession till after an absence of 10 years. If he disappeared after the age of 75 years, an absence of 5 years shall be sufficient in order that his succession may be opened. Nakalagay din tong 390 sa Rules of Court. Meron silang provision dito. Article 391, the following shall be presumed dead for all purposes including the division of the estate among heirs. Ito raw mga kondisyon na ito ay shall be presumed dead for all purposes. Number 1, a person on board a vessel lost during a sea voyage or an aeroplane which is missing who has not been heard of for 4 years since the loss of the vessel or aeroplane. Number 2, a person in the armed forces who has taken part in war and has been missing for 4 years. Number 3, a person who has been in danger of death under other circumstances and his existence has not been known for 4 years. Article 392, if the absentee appears or without appearing, his existence is proved, he shall recover his property in the condition in which it may be found, and the price of any property that may have been alienated or the property acquired therewith, but he cannot claim either fruits or rents. Chapter 5, Effect of Absence upon the Contingent Rights of the Absentee. Article 393. Whoever claims a right pertaining to a person whose existence is not recognized must prove that he was living at the time his existence was necessary in order to acquire said right. Article 394, without prejudice to the provisions of the preceding article, upon the opening of a succession to which an absentee is called, his share shall accrue to his co-heirs unless he has heirs, assigns, or a representative. They shall all, as the case may be, make an inventory of the property. Article 395, the provisions of the preceding article are understood to be without prejudice to the action of petition for inheritance or other rights which are vested in the absentee, his representatives, or successors in interest. These rights shall not be extinguished save by lapse of time fixed for prescription. In the record that is made in the registry of the real estate which accrues to the co-heirs, the circumstance of its being subject to the provisions of this article shall be stated. Okay. Article 396. Those who may have entered upon the inheritance shall appropriate the fruits received in good faith so long as the absentee does not appear, or while his representatives or successors in interest do not bring the proper actions. So yung mga pumasok doon sa inheritance, yung mga tagapagmana raw, shall appropriate o sila makikinabang sa fruits received in good faith. As long as wala pa naman yung absentee, hindi siya nag-appear, o yung kanyang mga representatives or successors in interest do not bring proper actions. Okay, magtungo na tayo sa title 16. Okay, ito yung huling title ng Book 1. Okay, inuna natin itong mga titles na ito kasi hindi pa tayo tapos doon sa family code. Yun na yung mga pangyayari sa ibang mga titles dito relating to family. So, Title 16, Civil Register. Article 407. Acts, events, and judicial decrees concerning the civil status of persons shall be recorded in the civil registers. Malinaw po yun. Acts, events, yung mga kasal, kapanganakan, judicial decrees, kung ikaw may naanal, concerning the civil status of persons shall be recorded. Ano-ano naman yun? Article 408. The following shall be entered in the civil register. Number 1, births. Number 2, marriages. Number 3, deaths. Number 4, legal separations. Number 5, annulments of marriage. Number 6, judgments declaring marriages void from the beginning. Number 7, legitimations. Number 8, adoptions. Number 9, acknowledgements of natural children. Number 10, naturalization. Number 11, loss. Or number 12, recovery of citizenship. Number 13, civil interdiction. Number 14, judicial determination of filiation. And 16, changes of name. Itong mga nabanggit na ito, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, ito ay subject of special proceedings. Okay, yun ang rules na gagamitin kapag ikaw ay nag-pursue ng mga ganong cases. Special proceedings. Article 409, in cases of legal separation, adoption, naturalization, and other judicial orders mentioned in the preceding article, it shall be the duty of the clerk of the court which issued the decree to ascertain whether the same has been registered, and if this has not been done, to send a copy of said decree to the civil registry of the city or municipality where the court is functioning. Okay, mahalaga ang civil register, ha? Article 410, the books making up the civil register and all documents relating thereto shall be considered public documents and shall be prima facie evidence of the facts therein contained. Ibig sabihin muli ng prima facie, in its face. Parang mali. On its face. Yan. Ibig sabihin, yun na mismo. Kung ano yung nakikita mo, res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. Article 411. Every civil registrar shall be civilly responsible for any unauthorized alteration made in any civil register to any person suffering damage thereby. However, the civil registrar may exempt himself from such liability if he proves that he has taken every reasonable precaution to prevent the unlawful alteration. Article 412. No entry in a civil register shall be changed or corrected without a judicial order. So superseded na ito, meron na parang yung mga typographical, clerical errors, pwede na yata, kung di ako nagkakamali, na diretsyo ng ayusin sa civil registry. Article 413, all other matters pertaining to the registration of civil status shall be governed by special laws. Isabihin, yung iba pang bagay na may kaugnayan sa civil status na hindi nakalagay rito shall be governed by special laws. RARA, mag-e-enact ng magagawa o mag-e-enact ng laws ang Kongreso para doon sa ganung purpose. So doon nagtatapos ang ating Book 1. Okay, in reality, hindi pa tapos talaga kasi hindi pa natin tapos yung family code. Pero parang nakalahati ko naman na yung family code at pag natapos na yon, tapos na yung entire Book 1 ng Civil Code. Okay? So, may Book 2, Book 3, and Book 4 pa na siyang katerbang titles, no? So, sana po ay nag-enjoy kayo and sana po ay may natutunan kayo. Katulad ko rin, ako po ay may natutunan kahit na minsan hindi ko na naiintindihan yung English. Pero balikan na lang natin pag hindi natin naiintindihan. So sana may mga naipaliwanag ako, na naliwanagan kayo at next time samahan niyo ulit akong magpaliwanag in layman's term. Good night and God bless.